Hey everyone, this is Kaisif and welcome back, and today we're going to be looking at an AFK automatic soul sand road placer thing. Alright, so here we can just sit and place the soul sand and the slab on top of it to create an entire pathway for running across with some soul speed boots really fast. And this is really useful in places like the Nether where it's really dangerous to be shifting and placing blocks. And as you can see, the flying machine itself is relatively small and yeah, it's very easy to build as well. Alright, so let's get down to using this. So you just need a slab to shrink into this place on top of this stair. And you're just stuck in place using the piston above. Face the bottom end of the block and use a pick block, place, pick block, and place. The pick block in my computer is bound to P. Mostly it's bound to the middle click, but yeah, basically all I'm doing here is I am pressing middle click, middle click, right click, and repeat. And yeah, this is really simple. You can easily bind this to an auto clicker, or you can just do it yourself. It's pretty easy, and also it's relatively safe on the right hand side. On the left hand side you might require an extra flying machine for some extra protection. Alright, so let's actually get down to how this thing works. Alright, so at the end we've got a soul sand block, which I can easily touch from that stair so that I can pick block it from here. As you can see, the stair basically pushes you to the edge of the block. We've got some slime blocks, and this observer detects the soul sand and pushes the slab down. Then if you pick block on the slab and then set off this observer to pull the slab back up, the observer also sets off a sticky piston which pushes this stuff at the back, which is slightly tweaked from an ordinary flying machine. So here's the reason why. Here's a normal flying machine: observer, slime block, sticky piston. When I update the observer, the sticky piston pulls the back end back. The back end is then updated by the observer, which activates the piston, which pushes this forwards again and sets off the observer again, which basically results in an infinite loop, which is not what you want. You want it to run only when you place a block, which is what we actually do in this case. So here we've got the observer down here. If I place it, you can see it only moves one block at a time. Just seeing what happens again. Yeah. It only moves forward when I place a block. So what is happening here is that the observer passed the piston to pull the back end along with it. But because of the slime block and the blocks below it, the observer also moves over the extra block. And at that position, it doesn't par the piston again, which means the piston doesn't extend or retract or do anything. Afterwards, the normal piston then pushes the sticky piston forward an extra block, meaning it just stays there. So here's it in slow motion. You can see the observer pushed forward and the piston after that. Right, so that's basically what is happening here. We need to push this bottom observer out of the way before the sticky piston on top, which is why that sticky piston is pushing a tiny bit more complicated substance along with it. Alright, so just looking at the whole thing working from a different perspective, that's how it looks. It looks a bit complicated, but I'll do my best to explain what's actually going on here. So it basically pushes this entire section. We've got these slime blocks here which push forward and basically drag that ordinary piston forwards again to that position, where it pushes on the observer, pushing the slab, pushing the observer, pushing the slime blocks, which are in turn connected to that piston forwards. Basically pushes everything except for those two blocks over there. That way the observer doesn't set off the piston again and it can just stay there. We've got this extra observer which pulls this honey section forwards. This is where we are standing, and it also pushes these couple of blocks in front, this observer and the piston, which is actually already moved. And what's actually happening here is we are trying to push the piston on top forward. As you can see, it's connected to the slime blocks. We've also got an extra observer over here, which is basically to push the soul sand down. It'll be visible in the slow motion, and basically that is connected to some extra slime blocks which pulls the soul sand out of the way. So setting this thing off, we got the soul sand which pushes the slab down, and now time for some slow motion to see what's happening. So we'll first look at the front end, what's happening to it, and anytime let's place the block. So you can see the slab pushed out of the way and the whole front end being pushed forwards and the soul sand being pushed down one block. Now looking on the right hand side this time around, yeah, you can see that's pulled forward. The honey block is then pulled forward as well, and that basically sets off the parts on the back end. And finally, if we were to focus on the sticky piston which is pulling the back end forward, you can see that that is separated at that moment, and we've got 2 sticky pistons in the back which pull the soul sand aside. Alright, so you need 2 pistons, 5 sticky pistons, 11 slime blocks, 6 observers, 6 honey blocks or slime blocks, it doesn't matter here, but they've got to be sticky blocks, 1 stair type, 4 solid blocks of any kind, 1 slab of your choice, and 1 soul sand block. You obviously need a ton of soul sand to actually construct the entire pathway, so let's get down to this. Alright, so the soul sand you want to start with has got to be at a diagonal to where you want the path to be, and yeah, now it's just a lot of building. Alright, we've got the sticky piston which is going to push the slab down. You want to place it facing that way. The observer to detect when the slab is placed. This block has to be a solid block. Come back with some sticky blocks and an ordinary piston there. Over here you can place an ordinary observer. Now this is the part that basically pushes that bottom section. Now this piston has to be a sticky piston. I actually change it later on. Then you want some honey blocks, which is the extra delay that you require for pushing the sticky piston forwards. Next we're going to join up the sticky piston and the iron block together. Then place an observer to reactivate the piston for pushing the soul sand down. And we're going to come out on this side in this sort of shape to actually place down some sticky pistons which will pull the soul sand and the quartz slab out of the way. Observer to power those things, and then always left is for the sort of carriage area. So we go down with 4 honey blocks, 2 solid blocks, and the stair block of your choice. Then just to get onto it you need a slab, and now you can just do your standard alternating system. Right now I have realized that this block was supposed to be a sticky piston. Just update the observer to push the whole thing forward. You want to get rid of the block later on, do not forget that. But yeah, besides that, this build is really simple. So anyways guys, thanks for watching. This has been Skysif and I'm out. So ciao for now, and I shall see you later. Bye bye.